Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. At least 6 people have been killed and dozens wounded after an Amtrak train bound for New York City derailed just outside of Philadelphia. 8 people remain in critical condition, and not everyone on board has been accounted for. The train had departed from Washington, D.C., carrying more than 240 people. 6 cars overturned, with sections of the train so mangled people had to be rescued with the aid of hydraulic tools. Philadelphia Mayor Michael Nutter called it, quote, an absolute disastrous mess, saying, "I've never seen anything like this in my life." The cause remains unknown. The Senate has rejected a measure to give President Obama fast-track authority to negotiate the Trans-Pacific Partnership, or TPP. On Tuesday, Senate fell 8 votes shy of the 60 needed to advance it. Democratic Senator Jeff Merkley said the TPP would hurt workers.
Why would you pave a path to put the workers in your state directly in competition with workers earning 60 cents an hour? Tell me that that's advantageous to making things in your nation, and I will tell you, you are wrong.
The failure to win the necessary votes came after pro-trade Democrats, including Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon, insisted fast-track be bundled together with 3 other trade bills. It's seen as a major setback for the White House, which has confronted progressive critics of the TPP in recent days. We'll speak with Lori Wallach of Public Citizen later in the broadcast. A Madison, Wisconsin police officer will not face criminal charges for fatally shooting an unarmed African-American teenager. Tony Robinson was shot dead in March after Officer Matt Kenny forced his way into an apartment following a disturbance. Kenny says Robinson attacked him upon his entry. On Tuesday, the Dane County District Attorney said an investigation found Kenny was lawful in firing the fatal shots. Robinson's family members say they've been denied justice. This is Robinson's grandmother, Sharon Irwin.
I will miss him the rest of my life when you guys go home and you don't deal with this anymore. This is a forever thing with me. And I just want to say this is politics and not justice.
In a show of support for Tony Robinson's family, hundreds of people marched to the state capitol Tuesday. More actions are underway today. We'll have more on this story after headlines. At least 43 people have been killed and dozens wounded in an armed attack on a bus carrying Ismaili Shiite Muslims in the Pakistani city of Karachi. A group of gunmen stopped the bus and opened fire. There are no claims of responsibility so far. The rescue effort continues in Nepal for survivors of the country's second earthquake in less than 3 weeks. At least 66 people have been confirmed dead, adding to the more than 8,000 who died last month. Rescuers are also searching for a U.S. military helicopter that went missing while delivering aid. A UN spokesperson said a high death toll is feared.
The first one came out as a red alert. Red alert is like the first one we had in April. That means that it's very severe earthquake. It's in a highly populated area. So honestly, right now we fear the worst.
Secretary of State John Kerry's met with Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov and President Vladimir Putin in a trip to Moscow. It's the highest-level Russia visit by a U.S. official since the Ukraine crisis began over a year ago. Kerry said the meeting was frank and constructive.
I am grateful to President Putin for the significant amount of time that he made available to this discussion, for his directness, and for his very detailed explanations of Russia's position with respect to some of these challenges, and of the ways that he believed that we have an ability to be able to work constructively together in order to resolve these problems.
North Korea has reportedly executed its defense minister. The South Korean intelligence service says Hyung Yong-chol was killed after dozing off at a military event, which the regime saw as an act of disrespect to leader Kim Jong-un. Kim is said to have ordered the executions of more than a dozen senior officials this year for challenging his authority. The imprisoned journalist and former Black Panther Mumia Abu-Jamal has been moved to the hospital for a second time this year. Supporters say they're concerned Abu-Jamal has a fever and open wounds and sores on his leg. A former government contractor whose case ignited a controversy over the Obama administration's targeting of journalists has been freed after 10 months in prison. Stephen Kim was convicted of leaking documents on North Korea to Fox News. Kim was charged under the Espionage Act, the nearly century-old law which was also used to classify Fox News reporter James Rosen a co-conspirator in the case. Kim has always maintained his innocence. More sources are confirming a key claim in an explosive story challenging the Obama administration's account of the killing of Osama bin Laden. Investigative journalist Seymour Hersh reported this weekend a former Pakistani intelligence officer disclosed bin Laden's location to the CIA. Hersh said U.S. claims it found bin Laden by tracking his personal courier were false. NBC News confirmed Hersh's claim of the informant through 3 different intelligence sources. Now the Pakistani newspaper The News reports Pakistani officials are also acknowledging the story and have identified the officer as Usman Khalid. Hersh's story says the officer received a $25 million bounty and is now living under U.S. protection near Washington. Carlotta Gall, a New York Times reporter who spent years in Afghanistan and Pakistan, is also now claiming she heard from a high-level Pakistani source that Pakistan was hiding bin Laden and later that an officer had told the CIA. Gall says she did not publish the story because she could not corroborate it in the United States. Meanwhile, national security blogger R.J. Hillhouse is pointing out she reported some of Hersh's key claims 4 years ago. In August 2011, Hillhouse wrote on her blog that the informant who led the CIA to bin Laden was a walk-in seeking financial compensation and that Pakistani officials were keeping bin Laden under house arrest with Saudi financial support. And Democracy Now! Co-host and New York Daily News columnist Juan Gonzalez has won an award for opinion writing from the Deadline Club, New York City's chapter of the Society of Professional Journalists. The awards were presented last night here in New York. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.
And I'm Juan Gonzalez. Welcome to all of our listeners and viewers around the country and around the world.